Yo, what it is? Yeah, so this is the commentary to Death to the Resume. I'm gonna tell you guys the symbols and the meaning behind them. Also, this one is a little bit longer than the actual music video. I couldn't put all the footage inside the music video, so this is like the extra behind the scenes, I guess you could call it. But yeah, if you look at it, you see a tie flapping in the wind, and you see this death character who has a mysterious identity. Now, my purpose of this scene was to draw your eye to the tie. If you look at the tie, it's the brightest thing in there. Also, it's flapping in the wind. It's the only thing moving. The purpose of that is because the tie holds significant meaning within the story as the story gets revealed. But yeah, let's see what happens. So like on the tombstone, you see the name Eshban. And then we join Eshban at his 9 to 5 to life. Now think about that. What does that mean? 9 to 5 to life. I'm at my 9 to 5. I'm doing 9 to 5 to life. Prison sentences. Think about it. So we join Eshban at his 9 to 5 to life. And he has a pile of papers on his desk. He has a poster in the back that says, "Don't do life in a cube. It cool." People like, "You spelled that wrong." Yes, I did. I spelled it wrong to get across a message. Oh my goodness, hold on guys, I'm gonna show you guys. This is actually like a little joke I put in there. So if you look at the back of the computer, it's a pear instead of an apple. So he's not using the Apple computer, he's using the pear computer. Alright, never mind. But yeah, he's on debt.com, and his student loans are loading up. He sees it. Oh my god. Immediate feeling is overwhelmed. I can't handle this. It's too much. But then this is my hero shot. This is when Eshban realizes that he's his own hero. If anybody's going to save him, it's got to be himself. So then we join him. And here you look at the computer flying out the window. That's anarchy. That's rebellion. He's saying, no longer, I'm not doing this anymore. I quit. I'm not being a part of this system. He looks at the tie. He takes off the tie, pulls it off, throws it, and lets it fly in the wind. Now, remember the tie that we saw at the beginning? Well, if you guys were paying attention, that was the tie he just took off. And there's still more meaning to that tie. Also, it reminds me of it was a movie, and Kevin Hart was in it. And it was the 40-year-old version. There was a scene where Kevin Hart goes up to one of the clerks and he says, "You're wearing that nigger tie." And he says, "What are you talking about? I'm not nobody's nigga." He was like, "Well, you wearing somebody's nigga tie." He was like, "You wearing a nigga tie, so you somebody's nigga." And that's kind of like the whole aspect of this scene. Is like, yo, I'm no longer a slave to the system. And this next scene, I didn't know if I was going to include it when I was storyboarding it. But you see Eshban, he jumps out the window. And people are like, "Oh my God, how's he dealing with his problems? He's going to commit suicide?" No, that's not what it's saying. Think about what the building represented. He was inside a cube in top of a building. He jumped from the cube, from the building, which represent his prison sentence, his job, where he didn't want to be. So, and think about when somebody quits their job. Somebody's like, "Wow, why would you quit your job? That's like committing suicide. How are you going to survive? How are you going to maintain your living? How you going to pay your bills?" And that's what that represents. It represents him jumping from a system, committing suicide to a system, not necessarily killing himself. And then you look and he goes into this portal. And this portal is a representation of his mind. And I have to reveal that further. But if you go, he's in this hellish-like place. Remember, that's his mind. He's in this hell-like place and he opens his eyes. Like the Avatar, the movie, not the cartoon, but the Avatar when they show his eyes when they open. Yeah, that's kind of where I got that scene from. But yeah, but then the portal is closing, and then he sees this character in the foreground or in the background, and he's blurred out, and he stands up, and he looks at this character, and it's revealed to you that this is a death character. So what does Eshban choose to do? He chooses to fight. He feels threatened. He's looking at this character and he's like, "Look, I know you're not here to do me any good, so you must be here to cause me harm." So the first thing he thinks of is clenching his fist. And then what? Throwing punches, of course. And look, he can't land any. He can't land any punches. Why can't he land any punches? Because he's trying to fight a mental war physically. You can't fight a mental war physically, because if you try to fight a mental war physically, this is going to happen. You miss every time. So Eshban is like, you know what? I got him. I'm about to sneak him. He don't know what I got for him. Boom. And he hits him. He lands the punch. But look, Death is still towering over him. Look at Death is still looking down on him. He punches Death. No effect. Okay. And then when he punches Death, he realizes, he's like, oh my goodness, this guy is me. I've been fighting myself this whole time. Or an image of myself. And yes. So then you look at it. Death, he already knows the deal. He's like, look, I know I already know this. I'm not surprised by any of this. And then he looks up, and this is actually like the cool part. This is my favorite part of the whole thing. But yeah, this is when Death summons his weapon, and he looks to the sky, causes electricity come down. And look, remember I just said that you can't fight a mental war physically. You can't fight a spiritual war physically. So if you look at it, Death summoned his weapon. Now, in the process of summoning his weapon, Eshban gets knocked back. Now, he wasn't trying to hurt Eshban. He was just trying to summon his weapon. Eshban was just in a way. It's almost like when you touch fire and fire burns you. It's not the fire's fault. The fire is just acting according to its nature. And that's what Death is doing. He's just acting according to his nature. And like what he was doing when he summoned his weapon, it was so much energy that Eshban got blown back. Now that Death wasn't attacking him, because he can attack him, because it's a mental war. And then look what happened as look, Eshban is still trying to fight a mental war, a spiritual war physically. He's still putting up his fist, thinking I can solve this with my fist. But then as Death summons his weapons, the energy that he summoned causes two orbs to appear. One is fear, the other is doubt. So Eshban sees it and he's like, oh my goodness, fear and doubt? Which like, that doesn't make sense. Why is he summoning fear and doubt? And then it kind of dawns on him. Fear, doubt. And Eshban says, okay, I realize I'm fighting this mental war, I'm fighting this spiritual war physically. I can't do that. So, and then Death, he puts the two orbs together, and look what he summons. A weapon made out of fear, and the weapon made out of doubt. Fear and doubt making up a weapon. Now what is he going to attack with this weapon? Because he can't attack Eshban with the weapon. Why can't he attack Eshban with the weapon? Because it's not a physical war. So this is a weapon, and it's not created to hurt Eshban physically, but it is designed to attack something. So look at Eshban. He realizes, okay, I can't fight this war with my fist. So now I'm going to use my mind. I'm gonna train my mind. I'm gonna create something. I'm gonna dream. And you look at Death, he's ready to attack. And Eshban is like, okay, I'm dreaming. And Death attacks. And look what happened. Look what Death attacks. Boom. So if you look at it, the scythe didn't hurt Eshban because it can't hurt Eshban. It didn't hit him because it couldn't. What it did was it destroyed his dream. What he was dreaming up, that weapon that was made out of fear and doubt destroyed his dream. It went right through his dream and it destroyed it. And if you look at the dream, if you look at it, you can see right through it. So it's not even a strong dream. It's a BS dream. It's something that he wasn't willing to back up. That's what it represents anyway. But yeah, Death pulls his weapon. And Eshban says, okay, I see you. Alright, now I'm gonna dream up something so big that you can't destroy it. Eshban is saying, I'm going to dream something so big that you can't destroy it. That was okay, I realized that was weak. But now I'm gonna dream up something so big. And look at it, boom. And look, as he dreams, what comes out of his mind? A hand. Why is it a hand? Why not a foot? Why not a knee? Well, a hand represents things that you can touch in the physical world. It represents action. It represents something that can be handled. So he's saying, I'm going to dream up something, and it's going to be. It has action. It has force. It has power. The power in your hands. Think about stuff like that. So then the hand starts to move towards Death. And Death is saying, okay, I'm going to destroy this dream just like I destroyed the last one. And then he throws it. Notice the hand got bigger. Boom. And he touches the weapon. Now, again, that weapon can't hurt Eshban. But Eshban's dream at this point is so big that he can touch the weapon and he stops the weapon. And look what Death, he's saying, oh my goodness, this is the first time Death is surprised, because he's like, oh my goodness, I see that you understand how to fight the battle. And then he gets swallowed up by the dream. So then we go back to the scene in the beginning and notice that tie is around the tombstone, flapping in the wind, and we have the Death character still, and you're like, oh my goodness, did Death survive? I thought he just died. And he's holding the scythe. And then it says corporate slave. So remember, let me go back so you guys can see that tie that was flapping in the wind. Went back a little too far. But yeah, so look at that tie and the flapping in the wind, and it was revealed on the tombstone. It said corporate slave. So what does that mean? That means that part of Eshbon that jumped out of the window, that part that was working at that place, the 9 to 5 to life, he's saying, I'm dead to that system. That me is dead, and this tombstone is done. And the tie represents kind of like a memorial to it. Like, that was the last remnant of that me that was willing to slave in the system. Like that, and the part of me that is dead is that corporate slave, that person that was willing to stay inside that cube, Iku, and work. And then he reveals himself as Eshbon. He's saying, and notice, I missed something. So he's still holding the scythe. Why is he holding the scythe? I thought that was fear and doubt. Did it change? No, it's still fear and doubt. What he's saying is, fear and doubt didn't go away. He still has times where he goes through fear and doubt, but he's in control of them. Fear and doubt is in the power of his hands now, and not in the hands of his imagination. So he holds his own fear and doubt in his own hands. That's what, and it can't be used as a weapon against him. So he pulls off the hood and he shows you, dream up your reality, just like he did to defeat death. That's what he did to defeat death. Yes. So I don't know what to say. All right. So just got finished working on Death to the Resume. It was a really long process. It took me about 2 or 3 months. I ran into a lot of problems. It was exciting. It was scary, and it was a lot of other things that I don't know. I don't think my vocabulary is big enough to say all those words, but I'm sure you do. Alright, so I was working on a project. I started working on it in Flash. And if you know Flash, you know, like, whenever you put an audio file in it, you scrub. And when you scrub, you can hear the audio file. Well, the audio file that I put in was like 2 or 3 minutes long. So I was like, oh my God. After like a few weeks of working on a project, I was like, you know what? I can't bear to hear the audio file anymore. So I closed out the audio file. And you know what? I was like, I'm going to just do the video without having any audio file in it. And when I finish doing it, I'll sync it up. But before I did that, I made marks on the timeline so that I knew where certain parts were, or like how long I wanted the actual animation to be. So I did that, and then what happened is I started working on it. I worked probably about a month and some time on Death to the Resume. I got all the lines down. So all the pencil work, or digital pencil stylus work, whatever you want to call it, was done. All my line work was complete. And then I started coloring it. And it took probably about like a few months on break, probably like 2 or 3 months just breaking from it, because I had to figure out a way to make money, because being a substitute doesn't pay that much. And you can't find work during the summer. So I was like, holy crap. So then I started developing something else on the side, but that's totally irrelevant. But anyways, I came back to the project. When I came back to the project and I started working on it, I started coloring it. And then, lo and behold, the computer it freezes. I was like working on it, and then it was like, and then when it went like, I was like, oh God, oh Lord, no, please Lord, I beg of you, please. And then like after I was doing that, something was like, it was like, so I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna restart. I'm just gonna start the computer, and I'm gonna restart the computer. And that's what I did. So I restarted the computer and came back, and I clicked on Flash. I was like, hey buddy, Flash. And Flash was like, why are you clicking on this file? There's nothing inside of this file that has anything to do with anything. And it gave me this awesome error message. I can't even remember what the error message said. But pretty much it was saying like, yo, homie. But what it was saying was like, yo, homeboy, all your stuff gone. I was like, all my stuff gone? What were you talking about, bro? I just spent like 2 or 3 months on this Death to the Resume. Like, how you going to debo me for my 2 or 3 months? Don't do it! and I begged with Flash. I went on the internet. I had a long conversation with Flash. I sat and I was like, you know what? I prayed. I was like, Lord, you are Lord of Lords. You can do this by the mighty power, just speaking in tongues and everything. And nothing seemed to work. So I went online, went to a few forums. Nothing worked. So I lost. Thankfully, whenever I create a file, I always save I always save it as a backup, and I call it the file name, and then at the end I add an extension BKUP, and like when I did that, I had a backup file. But remember, I was coloring at this point, so I went to my backup file, and that still worked, thank God. But I had lost 2 or 3 days of work, so like I didn't lose. So if I didn't have that backup file, I would have had to start from scratch, and y'all would have never saw that to the resume because I wasn't doing all that work again. Like, but yeah, I lost 2-3 days of work instead of 2 or 3 months, and I started working on it. I was frustrated. I was pissed. I went on the floor. Lord, why me? I went through a whole suite of, you know, just emotions. And then after I finished working on it, I mean, after I you know, it's like, yo, eat your pain, get up, kill everything. So I got back up and I started working on it again. And when I got back up and I started working on it again, I just was like, you know, I gotta hammer it out. So I was listening to David, last name starts with a G, but he ran 100 miles marathon. Pretty much that guy pretty much saved my whole life, because I was thinking about contemplating jumping off a bridge. And he was like, you know what, I tied up my shins when I was getting shin splints and I had 80 miles to go. And I was like, hey, bro, you're awesome. And if you can do it, I can do it. So I was listening to him. And then he picked me up. I started redoing, I redid the 2 or 3 days of work. I started coloring in. Everything went smooth. But then, remember what I said when I took out the audio file? And like I just started doing the audio. I mean, I just started doing the visuals without considering the audio within the Flash file. So in other words, I had the audio file, and I was doing the video file and the audio file separate. The audio file was finished. It was done. I finished creating the lyrics. I finished rapping it with all that good stuff. And I mastered it, all that good stuff. I had a friend master it. But like I was working on the video file separate. And then what happened was I brought the two and I put them together, and I was like, wow, interesting. Problem. The video file was longer than the audio file. So I was like, you know, I thought they would sync up. I thought they would be like, boom. But no, something was like, boom. The video file had a tail at the end of it. Like, because it was like the audio file was right here and the video file was like here. It was like, no, wait, so you're supposed to be right here. And it was like, no, I'm going for it. I was like, all right, well, you know what? Let's look on the positive side. At least I have more visuals than I have audio. What that means is I can chop it down. If the video file wasn't long enough, that means I had to probably spend a few more weeks, a few more days creating new content to add it with the audio file. So I was like, you know what? Video file's done. So I was like, cool. And then the voice was in the back of my head like, you know what? He's like, what did he say? He said, he was like, yo, you did all that work for nothing. You spent 2 or 3 hours. I was like, hey, let's look on the positive side. I did spend extra time on it, but it's good to have more than to have less. Something like that. But anyway, after I did that, I started working on it, and then I was chopping up the video. And then it was crazy. So I discovered mistakes are not bad all the time. So there are 3 types of mistakes. I had the mistake where it was like, holy crap, I messed up, I need to go back and correct that. And then I had the mistake that created more mistakes where I made a mistake, tried to fix it, didn't fix it, but more mistakes happened. And then I had the brilliant epiphany mistake that happens once in every 3 blue moons, where you make a mistake and you're like, wow, that's actually better than the way I planned it out in the first place. Let's keep that quote-unquote mistake. Or maybe it's not a quote-unquote mistake. It's technically a mistake. Mistake, whatever. We kept it. So stuff like that worked. And then I just started chopping up the video. As I started chopping up the video, it was really cool. I was like, and it's weird, because I always feel like I'm a conduit. I never feel like the ideas come from me. I only receive the ideas, and then I express them. But the ideas come from the invisible realm, from the from God, from the other side of creation, beyond the looking glass. That's where my ideas come from. I'm only a conduit. I'm only a hand. But yeah, so I finished Death to the Resume. It was probably about like, so I didn't, the last video I released was at the end of last year. But now we're in July, so we're halfway through this year, and I'm finally releasing a video, which is crazy to me because I was like, oh my God, I spent all that time like on one thing, and then like I had to stop from that one thing in order so I could find money to, you know, cost of living and all that other crap. But yeah, so it all worked out in the end. I'm just thankful that it's over. I actually just got finished working on it. I sent it to 2 or 3 friends, told them to keep it on the low. I said, look at it, tell me what you think. And he was like, yo, bro, that joint's hot like fire. And I was like, yeah, bro, use the fire hotness, make it hot like the fire. But yeah, so then, yeah, so that's pretty much the story of what it was like working on Death to the Resume. But thank you for listening, and I hope you stay tuned all the way to the end, because I hope you didn't get bored. But yeah, I see you.